everybody. This is Hillary Marzek, the owner of Inside Chicago Walking Tours, coming to you with another virtual Chicago tour. Now, today's tour is going to be about 5 common myths that you will hear on almost all Chicago architecture river tours. Now, what makes me an authority? I've worked for more than a decade on river tours myself as a public guide, a private guide, and I do surf and turf tours for my own company, which combine walking and boats, which is a really fun experience and part of what has made me the top-ranked small walking tour business in Chicago on TripAdvisor. Thank you, thank you. Now, let's get right to it. Number 5. The Chicago Board of Trade, right at the end of the LaSalle Street Canyon, comes from Halliburton Route 1930. You'll actually see it on boat tours. You can see that little statue in the distance. She's actually a 30-foot tall aluminum statue of the Roman goddess of grains, and you're commonly going to be told that John Storrs, the famous American sculptor who was born in Chicago but who lived a good chunk of his life in France and studied under Auguste Rodin, who gave us The Thinker. Everyone says that he left her faceless because he thought no one would be able to see her. Well, the actual truth is, not only did he feel that gave her a more ethereal goddess-like quality as opposed to a human quality, he also felt it was more in keeping with the Art Deco look itself. Now, another myth about this statue is that it was modeled after a then 14-year-old Madeleine LaSalle. You'll hear that on tours. That was actually completely made up by Madeleine LaSalle herself. And while we're on one of my favorite buildings in the city, one of the myths that I have heard told at street level is that the 2 men around the clock on the front are Egyptians holding papyrus, which is totally not true. It's actually an ancient Mesopotamian farmer holding wheat and an ancient Native American farmer holding corn, and they are getting ready to exchange in tribute to the Board of Trade's beginnings as a grains exchange. Number 4 on our list brings us to 311 South Wacker Drive down on the south branch of the river. You can actually go inside this building's beautiful lobby. It was done by Cohn Peterson and Fox. Now, the top of the building looks sort of like a crown, and a lot of tour guides will tell you that it was meant to look like an engagement ring, and oftentimes they will make up this really dramatic story about the architect's wife or fiance getting sick and dying while he was designing the building, but it's actually simply meant to be a reference to the wonderful Tribune Tower and the massing that's on top of that. Number 3 brings us one of Chicago's favorite buildings that you're going to see on the river, the famous Carbide and Carbon building from the Burnham brothers. Now, it was supposedly built to look like a champagne bottle because it was built during Prohibition, but here you see the actual inspiration for the building. Howells and Hood did the American Radiator Company building in New York City just the year before they did the Tribune Tower here in Chicago, which you will remember was the inspiration for the massing on top of 311 South Wacker Drive. There's so many connections. Now, number 2, the Jewelers Building from 1926 with that beautiful golden cupola up on top. You'll recognize this from any river tour because it is right across from Trump Tower on the main branch of the river. Now, it is commonly said by tour guides that there was a speakeasy operated by Al Capone up top. And while it is true that there was a club up there called the Stratosphere Club, it was opened up in 1937. And by that time, Al Capone had already been in jail for about 5 years. He was put in 1932, and even if he hadn't been in jail, Prohibition itself was repealed in 1933, and so certainly by the time the Stratosphere opened up, liquor would have been legal. Number 1 on the list is the Civic Opera Building, which you will see on a river tour on the south branch of the river, and tour guides will often tell you that it was commissioned by Samuel Insull, and they'll call it Insull's Throne because it was supposedly built shaped like a throne with its back facing away from New York City. The story goes that Insull's wife, the actress and singer Gladys Wallace, was not received well in New York, and so he built his throne turning its back on that city. And though it is true that this was part of the inspiration for the plotline of Citizen Kane, it is not true that the building looks like a throne on purpose. Many Art Deco office buildings have a throne-like shape, partly due to zoning ordinances requiring setbacks, and partly due to the mixed use of their various parts. Thank you so much for watching this short video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, check out my website, InsideChicagoWalkingTours.com. You can also follow me and my Tours and my company on Instagram and on Facebook. I really appreciate your taking the time to watch this. Please do share it because it's a wonderful way to support small business. Thank you again for watching.